Dr. Zaxel pressed a long, six-fingered hand against the observation window. Far below, the blue-green planet turned slowly. It was beautiful, primitive, and filled with a species that should not have survived as long as it had. Fascinating creatures, Zaxel muttered. The alien scientist had spent 27 Earth years studying humans from this hidden orbital station. The Vraxian High Command considered humans barely worth notice, too fragile, too short-lived, and too violent to ever join the galactic community. But Zaxel saw something different, something special. The main screen showed live feeds from various monitoring devices placed around Earth. Zaxel focused on one particular human, John Miller, a biology professor at a small college in the American Midwest. There was nothing remarkable about John. Average height, average build, average intelligence by human standards. Yet yesterday, Zaxel had watched him carry a student with a broken ankle 2 miles through a forest during a field trip. The human had pushed beyond his physical limits, ignoring pain and exhaustion. Computer, show subject B7734, Zaxel commanded. The screen shifted to a young woman in a laboratory. Lisa Rodriguez was one of John's students. She worked late most nights, conducting experiments that her professors said were too advanced for her. Yet she persisted, following hunches and ideas that sometimes yielded surprising results. Zaxel's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as the scientist made notes. Humans operate at roughly 20% of their theoretical biological potential. The question remains, why? After decades of research, Zaxel had identified specific genetic markers that seemed to limit human development. It was as if something had deliberately capped their potential long ago. The markers were too precise to be natural evolution. Someone engineered them this way, Zaxel said to the empty lab. But who? And why? The scientist moved to the biological containment unit where thousands of virus samples floated in suspension. After years of careful work, Zaxel had created something that might answer these questions, a modified virus that could safely remove the limiting genetic markers in humans. According to all simulations, the changes would be subtle at first. Enhanced cellular repair, improved neural connections, better immune response, nothing that would alarm human scientists or alert Vraxian monitors. Warning, protocol violation detected, the computer announced. Genetic manipulation of observed species is forbidden under Scientific Directive 347B. Zaxel waved a dismissive hand. Override. Authorization, Zaxel Prime Researcher. Override not accepted. This action requires High Command approval. Zaxel sighed. High Command would never approve. They feared species advancement, especially in races they deemed aggressive. But how could science progress without taking risks? The scientist moved to a secondary control panel and entered a complex sequence. Computer, initiate maintenance cycle alpha. Initiating maintenance cycle. All monitoring and security systems will be offline for 17 minutes. It would be enough time. Zaxel quickly transferred the engineered virus into a deployment canister. The plan had been ready for months. Release the virus into the ventilation systems of several major human cities, disguised as a common cold. It would spread globally within weeks, making subtle changes to anyone infected. The changes would be so gradual that neither humans nor Vraxian observers would notice until it was far too late. "I'm sorry for the deception," Zaxel said, addressing the images of humans on the screen. "But you deserve to reach your full potential. Whatever happens next will be educational." As the deployment sequence initiated, Zaxel felt both excitement and fear. This violated everything in Vraxian scientific ethics. If discovered, the punishment would be severe. But some questions were worth any risk to answer. The screen showed the virus canisters entering Earth's atmosphere, disguised as minor meteorites that would burn up and release their contents into the air currents. Computer, resume normal operations. Maintenance cycle complete. No anomalies detected. Zaxel smiled, an expression the scientist had learned from watching humans. In 6 months, the first changes would begin. Small things at first. slightly faster healing, better recall, improved physical performance. But what would happen after that? Even Zaxel's simulations couldn't predict exactly how human biology would respond once the limitations were removed. The experiment had begun. There was no going back now. 6 months passed since Dr. Zaxel released the modified virus on Earth. The alien scientist had not left the observation station once during that time. Sleep was minimal. Food was an afterthought. Every waking moment was spent monitoring the data flowing in from Earth. At first, the changes were exactly as predicted. The virus had spread worldwide, reported as nothing more than a particularly contagious flu season. Humans recovered quickly, and life returned to normal. Or so it seemed. The first unusual report came from Detroit. Frank Cooper, a construction worker, was trapped when a wall collapsed at his worksite. His coworkers feared the worst, but Frank emerged from the rubble with only minor cuts that healed completely within hours. "Computer, show me subject D8891, Zaxel commanded. The screen displayed Frank Cooper undergoing tests at a local hospital. Doctors looked confused as they reviewed his scans. One doctor pointed to something on a screen, then shook her head in disbelief. Zaxel zoomed in on Frank's medical charts. His cellular regeneration rate was 3 times normal human capacity. The virus had done its work, removing the genetic limiters, but the results were happening much faster than Zaxel had calculated. Subject update, B7734, the computer announced. The screen switched to Lisa Rodriguez in her college laboratory. She stood perfectly still, eyes closed, surrounded by complex equations written on glass boards. When she opened her eyes, she immediately wrote down a new formula that solved a problem her professors had been working on for years. "Fascinating," Zaxel whispered. "Her neural pathways have completely restructured." The alien scientist quickly checked other monitored subjects. John Miller had recovered from a respiratory infection in less than a day. A bus driver in Tokyo had somehow avoided a certain collision by reacting with impossible speed. A child in Brazil was speaking 7 languages she had never studied. Zaxel's excitement turned to concern when the communication panel lit up. The message was from Vraxian High Command, marked urgent. "Researcher Zaxel, anomalous activity detected on observation planet Earth. Report immediately." Zaxel hesitated before responding. "Minor variations in some subjects. Likely a natural mutation. Continuing to monitor." "Negative. Our sensors detect widespread genetic drift. Return to homeworld for debriefing." This was bad. If High Command suspected interference, they would send investigators. The experiment would be terminated. The humans would be reset to their limited state or worse. "Acknowledged," Zaxel replied. Preparing for departure. The scientist had no intention of leaving. More reports flooded in. Dr. Olivia Martinez at the CDC was tracking what she called genetic anomalies appearing in patients nationwide. Government agencies began quietly gathering data on individuals displaying unusual abilities. The observation station's alarm suddenly blared. "Warning. Vraxian enforcement vessel detected. Estimated arrival, 48 Earth hours." Zaxel moved quickly, downloading all research data and destroying anything that couldn't be taken. This station would soon be occupied by enforcers, but the experiment had progressed too far to stop now. On Earth, the changes were accelerating. The computer displayed global news reports of miraculous recoveries, unexpected athletic achievements, and cognitive breakthroughs. Some humans were beginning to question what was happening to them. In his college office, John Miller stared at his hand where a paper cut had healed in seconds. Lisa Rodriguez solved complex physics equations in her sleep. Frank Cooper lifted a steel beam that should have required 3 men and machinery. The virus hadn't just removed limitations, it had awakened something dormant in human DNA, something that was evolving beyond Zaxel's design. "Computer, prepare my research vessel for immediate departure." Destination. Zaxel looked at the blue-green planet below. "Earth. I need to observe directly now, and possibly hide. As the small vessel detached from the main station, Zaxel watched the data continue to pour in. The experiment had succeeded beyond all expectations, but the Vraxian scientist now faced a frightening question. What exactly had been unleashed? John Miller's car flipped 3 times before crashing into a ditch. The impact crushed the driver's side door and shattered every window. Anyone inside should have died instantly. Yet John crawled out with only a few cuts and bruises. By the time the ambulance arrived, even those were fading. "Sir, you need to come with us to the hospital," a paramedic said, looking confused at the wreckage, and then back at John. "I'm fine," John replied, touching his forehead where a deep gash had been minutes ago. Now only a faint pink line remained. The paramedic insisted, and John agreed to go, knowing that refusing would raise more questions. At the hospital, doctors couldn't explain his condition. X-rays showed healed fractures that appeared to be weeks old, though they had happened less than an hour ago. Across town at the university, Lisa Rodriguez sat alone in the research lab, surrounded by complex equipment she had built herself. Her professors no longer questioned her work. They couldn't understand it anyway. Lisa somehow knew things about biology and physics that weren't in any textbook. It's like the knowledge was always there, she whispered, writing down equations that described how DNA could repair itself using energy from surrounding cells. I just couldn't access it before. In Detroit, Frank Cooper had quit his construction job. Too many questions about his strength. He now worked nights at a small repair shop, fixing things no one else could fix. His hands seemed to know exactly what to do with any machine, even ones he had never seen before. Dr. Olivia Martinez at the CDC examined blood samples from 50 different individuals across the country. All showed the same unusual changes at the genetic level. She called a private meeting with government officials. "It's spreading like a virus, but it's not causing illness," she explained to the serious men and women in dark suits. "It's changing people, enhancing them." Director Alan Phillips of a classified government agency leaned forward. "How many people are affected?" "Based on our random sampling, potentially millions already," Olivia replied. "And it seems to be accelerating." In a secluded cabin in the mountains, Dr. Zaxel had established a small laboratory. The alien scientists wore a crude human disguise when necessary but preferred isolation. The cabin was filled with monitoring equipment tuned to track the genetic changes spreading across Earth. Zaxel's 4 eyes widened as new data appeared on screen. "Impossible," the scientist muttered. "The modifications are evolving on their own. This goes beyond removing limitations. The human DNA is rewriting itself." A police officer named Kevin Moore discovered his own transformation when he sensed a bomb in an abandoned building before anyone else could see it. He evacuated 20 people seconds before the explosion. No one understood how he knew, including Kevin himself. "I just felt it," he explained to his captain. "Like a buzzing in my head." Patricia Walsh, a corporate executive, found she could sense what people were thinking during negotiations. She used this ability to close deals that made her company millions. Some colleagues became uneasy around her, feeling exposed somehow. Back at the hospital, John Miller met Olivia Martinez for the first time. She had been sent to examine him personally after report. Zaxel frantically checked all security systems in the mountain cabin. The message on the screen remained, "We see you." The alien scientist's hands trembled. It was impossible. No human should be able to detect Vraxian technology, let alone hack into it. Yet someone had. Miles away, Lisa Rodriguez sat cross-legged on her apartment floor, eyes closed. Her mind reached out, following strange energy patterns she had only recently learned to sense. John Miller and Kevin Moore sat with her, forming a triangle. "I can feel something," Kevin said. "Like electricity, but alive." John nodded. "It's not human. Whatever is watching us, it's not from Earth." Lisa's eyes snapped open. "I found it. A cabin in the mountains, about 100 miles north. Dr. Nathan Harris, a government scientist reluctantly working with the group, looked skeptical. You expect me to believe you can sense someone through walls from 100 miles away? We all can, John said simply, and it's getting stronger every day. Nathan had been assigned by Director Phillips to study the changed humans. At first, he thought they were delusional. Now he wasn't so sure. He had seen too many impossible things in the past few weeks. Even if you're right about someone watching us, Nathan said, how do you plan to reach this cabin? It's in a remote area, probably heavily guarded. Kevin smiled. We have transportation. 2 hours later, they approached the cabin in Nathan's government SUV. Lisa guided them along unmarked forest roads. As they got closer, strange feelings washed over them. Fear, John said. Whoever is in there is afraid of us. They parked half a mile away and continued on foot. No security guards were visible, but advanced-looking sensors dotted the trees. Kevin closed his eyes for a moment, then touched each device as they passed. They're blind now, he explained. The cabin door was locked with a system unlike anything Nathan had ever seen. Lisa placed her hand over it, concentrating. The lock clicked open. Inside, they found equipment that appeared impossibly advanced. Screens displayed data about various locations around the world. Nathan recognized some of the people shown as known cases of genetic anomalies. Hello, Zaxel, Lisa said calmly, looking directly at an empty corner of the room. The air shimmered, and a tall figure appeared. It had gray-blue skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and 6-fingered hands. Nathan stumbled backward in shock. You can see through my cloaking technology, Zaxel said, voice surprisingly human-like. Fascinating. You did this to us, John said. It wasn't a question. Zaxel nodded slowly. Yes, but you are changing beyond what I intended. The modifications should have been minor, just removing artificial limitations in your DNA. Instead, you are evolving. Kevin stepped forward. Why? Why experiment on us without consent? Your species was engineered long ago, Zaxel explained. Someone deliberately limited your potential. I wanted to see what would happen if those limitations were removed. It was meant to be a controlled experiment. Lisa touched one of the screens, instantly understanding the alien technology. Your people are coming to stop you. And us. Yes. The Vraxian High Command has dispatched enforcers. They will arrive in 5 of your days. Their orders are to capture me and reset your species. Reset? Nathan asked. They will reverse the changes. Those too far altered will be eliminated. John's eyes narrowed. How many people have been changed? Zaxel moved to a central console. According to my latest data, approximately 30% of Earth's population has been affected to some degree. Millions are showing significant changes. That would be genocide, Kevin whispered. Outside, the sound of helicopters broke the silence. Nathan checked his phone. Government forces. They must have tracked us. Lisa looked at the alien. You started this. Will you help us stop it? Zaxel's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. My actions caused this situation, but I do not know if even I can control what you are becoming. The helicopters circled the cabin as armed soldiers took positions in the surrounding forest. Inside, John quickly moved away from the windows. We need to leave. Now, he said. Nathan checked his phone. It's my department. Director Phillips is leading this operation himself. They want the alien. Zaxel gathered several small devices from around the lab. There is an underground passage. We must hurry. Lisa was still studying the alien technology. These monitors show more ships coming. Not just your people, Zaxel. You've started something much bigger. A voice boomed through a loudspeaker outside. This is Director Alan Phillips. We have the building surrounded. Come out with your hands visible. Kevin moved to a back wall, placing his hand against it. His enhanced senses detected the hidden passage Zaxel had mentioned. Here, but we need to know the truth first. He turned to the alien. What exactly did you do to our DNA? Later, Zaxel insisted. If they capture me, the Vraxian fleet will destroy this entire area to prevent their technology from falling into human hands. A sudden explosion rocked the cabin as soldiers breached the front door. Nathan made a quick decision and stepped into view with his hands raised. Hold your fire. I'm Dr. Nathan Harris, Government Clearance Alpha 7. Director Phillips entered, flanked by soldiers in heavy tactical gear. Dr. Harris, I see you've found our target. His eyes widened at the sight of Zaxel. So it's true. Alien contact. Sir, you don't understand what's happening, Nathan said. There's a fleet coming. We need to work together. Phillips signaled his men. Secure the alien. The rest are coming with us for questioning. John stepped forward, his eyes glowing slightly. We don't have time for this. Every weapon in the room suddenly became too hot to hold. The soldiers dropped their guns, crying out in pain. What the hell? Phillips backed away. Lisa moved to the alien computers and placed her hands on the main console. Images appeared showing several large ships approaching Earth's orbit. Director, in approximately 4 days, those ships will reach Earth. They're coming to reset humanity. That means killing anyone who has been changed by Zaxel's experiment. How many people? Phillips asked. Millions, Kevin replied. Maybe billions eventually. Outside the cabin, more helicopters arrived. But these were different. A tall figure in a military uniform stepped out of the lead craft. General William Carter, head of Joint Military Operations, surveyed the scene. Director Phillips, your presence is requested at command. We're taking over this operation. Phillips looked confused. On whose authority? The President's. We've detected multiple objects entering our solar system. We're at Defense Condition 3. Inside the cabin, Zaxel suddenly stiffened. No, it's too soon. A new alert appeared on the aliens' monitors. A single ship, much faster than the others, had broken away from the main fleet. It would reach Earth within hours, not days. Commander Krell, Zaxel whispered. A high command sent their best enforcer. General Carter entered the cabin and stopped short at the sight of Zaxel. After a moment of shock, he addressed the group. I've been briefed on the situation. If what we believe is true, we need your help. It's worse than you know, John said. The changes are spreading, evolving. People are developing abilities we don't fully understand. Lisa looked up from the console. They're afraid of us. That's why they're coming. They think we might become a threat. Are we? The general asked. Zaxel's 4 eyes blinked slowly. I don't know. I never expected the changes to progress this quickly. Your DNA contains something that was hidden, suppressed. Not just limitations, but potential. Ancient potential. A new alarm sounded. Zaxel checked the readings and looked up with all 4 eyes wide. Krell's ship has entered Earth's atmosphere. He will be here within the hour. What does he want? Phillips asked. To capture me, Zaxel replied. And to eliminate any human who shows signs of genetic advancement. The military base buzzed with activity as soldiers prepared defenses against the incoming alien threat. In a secure underground room, Zaxel worked alongside Dr. Olivia Martinez, examining the latest data on the spreading genetic changes. The rate of transformation is increasing, Olivia said, pointing to charts on her tablet. Children born to parents with the modified genes show even stronger abilities. Zaxel nodded, 4 eyes blinking in sequence. The changes are activating dormant sections of human DNA, sections that should not exist naturally. In another part of the base, John Miller and Lisa Rodriguez sat with dozens of other changed humans. They had been gathered from across the country for protection and study. Many looked afraid, while others seemed excited by their new abilities. A young boy, no more than 7 years old, floated a pencil in the air without touching it. His mother watched with a mix of pride and fear. They're getting stronger with each generation, John observed. The children adapt faster than adults. Lisa closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind. She could feel the connections between everyone in the room, like invisible threads linking their consciousness. We're becoming something new, something unified. General Carter entered with Kevin Moore and Nathan Harris. The general looked tired but determined. Krell's ship has landed 50 miles from here, he announced. He's demanding we surrender Zaxel and all contaminated humans. The president has refused. What about the main fleet? John asked. Still 3 days out. We're deploying every available weapon system, but based on what Zaxel has told us about Vraxian technology, our chances aren't good. Nathan stepped forward with a tablet. Dr. Martinez has discovered something. Something big. He led them to the lab where Olivia and Zaxel were working. Olivia looked up as they entered. The genetic changes aren't random mutations, she explained. They appear to be activating a preset code that was already in human DNA, a code that was deliberately suppressed. What does that mean? General Carter asked. Zaxel's hands moved over a complex display. It means I didn't change humans. I merely removed blocks that were placed in your genetic code long ago. Blocks? By whom? Kevin asked. I don't know, Zaxel admitted, but the patterns suggest extremely advanced bioengineering, far beyond even Vraxian capabilities. The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. Humans weren't evolving into something new. They were reverting to something they were always meant to be. An alarm suddenly blared. A soldier rushed in. Sir, we've got movement. Krell's forces are approaching the base. Outside, strange aircraft with no visible engines glided silently over the desert. Ground vehicles that hovered above the sand moved into position around the military base. In the command center, screens showed the alien forces. They were humanoid but taller, with gray-blue skin like Zaxel. They wore armor that seemed to shift colors to match the surroundings. Their weapons are designed to target specific genetic patterns, Zaxel warned. They can kill changed humans without harming those who remain unmodified. General Carter frowned. How do we fight that? John looked at Lisa, then at the other changed humans who had gathered in the command center. Together. The same way we found Zaxel. The changed humans formed a circle, joining hands. Lisa stood in the center, her eyes closed in concentration. I can feel all of them, she whispered. Every changed human on Earth. We're connected. John joined her. If we can reach them all, unite our abilities. Across the country, changed humans suddenly stopped whatever they were doing. They felt a calling, a connection to something larger than themselves. A mother in Seattle put down her coffee cup, her eyes glowing slightly. A teacher in Miami paused mid-sentence, hearing voices in his mind. A doctor in Chicago looked up from her patient, feeling a surge of energy through her body. All of them received the same message. We are not alone. We are under attack. Join with us. Back at the base, Lisa opened her eyes, which now glowed with an intense blue light. They hear us. They're responding. Zaxel watched in awe. A neural network spanning the entire planet. Impossible. Outside, Krell's forces took up attack positions. The Vraxian commander stood on a hill overlooking the base, unaware that he was now facing not just a few changed humans, but a unified consciousness of millions. Commander Krell stepped out of his command ship, his tall frame towering over the Vraxian soldiers around him. His armor shifted colors to match the desert landscape. In one six-fingered hand, he held a weapon unlike anything humans had ever seen. Prepare the genetic disruptors, he ordered. Target any human with the modified sequences. Inside the military base, General Carter watched the alien forces on the monitors. They've surrounded us completely. Our weapons can't penetrate their shields. John Miller stood with Lisa Rodriguez at the center of a circle of changed humans. Their eyes glowed with blue light as they maintained the connection to millions of others across the planet. We need to show them our strength, John said. Not just here, but everywhere. Lisa nodded. Everyone, focus your energy. Think of a shield around the base, around all of us. The changed humans concentrated. Outside, the air began to shimmer around the military base as an invisible barrier formed. When Vraxian soldiers fired their weapons, the energy blasts dissipated against the shield. Krell's 4 eyes narrowed. Impossible. They shouldn't have such abilities yet. In the base lab, Zaxel worked frantically with Dr. Olivia Martinez and Nathan Harris. They studied the alien technology Zaxel had brought from the cabin. If we can modify this, Zaxel explained, pointing to a small device, we might be able to communicate directly with the Vraxian High Command. Show them that humans pose no threat. But we do pose a threat, don't we? Nathan asked. That's why they're here. Zaxel's 4 eyes blinked. Yes. The potential in your species. It frightens them. Outside, Krell ordered his forces to bring up heavier weapons, break through their shield. Find the rogue scientist. The attacks intensified. The shield around the base wavered but held. Inside, Kevin Moore joined John and Lisa. We can't just defend, he said. We need to push back. Lisa's consciousness reached out to the millions of connected minds across the planet. We need your strength, not just to shield, but to act. Across the world, changed humans responded. They directed their energy, their newfound abilities, toward a single purpose. In the sky above the military base, the air began to distort and twist. Energy readings off the scale. A soldier shouted in the command center. Something's happening in the upper atmosphere. On the monitors, they watched as a massive shape began to form in the sky. It looked like a hand made of pure energy, reaching down toward Earth. Krell saw it too. The Vraxian commander stepped back in shock. No, it's too soon. They shouldn't be capable of this level of coordination. The energy hand swept across the desert, not attacking the Vraxian forces, but creating a barrier between them and the base. A message boomed across the sky, heard not as sound, but as a thought in everyone's mind. We mean you no harm, but we will defend ourselves. Inside the base, John collapsed to his knees, exhausted. That took everything we had. Lisa helped him up, but it worked. They've stopped attacking. In the lab, the small device Zaxel had been modifying suddenly activated. A holographic image appeared. A Vraxian with elaborate markings indicating high rank. Commander Krell, the hologram said. Report. Krell's voice came through the device. High Elder, the humans have displayed capabilities far beyond our projections. They are coordinating their abilities globally. They have created an energy construct visible from orbit. And researchers Zaxel, still unlocated, but the humans are protecting someone inside their military structure. The High Elder was silent for a moment. This changes our approach. If they have advanced this quickly, direct confrontation is unwise. The main fleet will arrive soon. We will assess then. In the command center, General Carter received reports from around the world. Changed humans everywhere had participated in the defense, creating similar energy barriers around major cities. It's like they're all working as one mind, an officer said in awe. Zaxel entered the command center, looking troubled. They've only delayed the attack. The main Vraxian fleet will be here in less than 2 days, and they will bring weapons capable of sterilizing your entire planet. John looked at the alien scientist. Then we need to be stronger by then. Not just defensive barriers. We need to find out exactly what we're becoming. Lisa nodded. And why we were engineered this way in the first place. Someone created humans with this potential, then locked it away. We need to know who and why. Dr. Zaxel pressed a long 6-fingered hand against the observation window. Far below, the blue-green planet turned slowly. It was beautiful, primitive, and filled with a species that should not have survived as long as it had. Fascinating creatures, Zaxel muttered. The alien scientist had spent 27 Earth years studying humans from this hidden orbital station. The Vraxian High Command considered humans barely worth notice, too fragile, too short-lived, and too violent to ever join the galactic community. But Zaxel saw something different, something special. The main screen showed live feeds from various monitoring devices placed around Earth. Zaxel focused on one particular human, John Miller, a biology professor at a small college in the American Midwest. There was nothing remarkable about John. Average height, average build, average intelligence by human standards. Yet yesterday, Zaxel had watched him carry a student with a broken ankle 2 miles through a forest during a field trip. The human had pushed beyond his physical limits, ignoring pain and exhaustion. Computer, show subject B7734, Zaxel commanded. The screen shifted to a young woman in a laboratory. Lisa Rodriguez was one of John's students. She worked late most nights, conducting experiments that her professors said were too advanced for her. Yet she persisted, following hunches and ideas that sometimes yielded surprising results. Zaxel's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as the scientist made notes. Humans operate at roughly 20% of their theoretical biological potential. The question remains, why? After decades of research, Zaxel had identified specific genetic markers that seemed to limit human development. It was as if something had deliberately capped their potential long ago. The markers were too precise to be natural evolution. Someone engineered them this way, Zaxel said to the empty lab. But who? And why? The scientist moved to the biological containment unit where thousands of virus samples floated in suspension. After years of careful work, Zaxel had created something that might answer these questions. A modified virus that could safely remove the limiting genetic markers in humans. According to all simulations, the changes would be subtle at first. Enhanced cellular repair, improved neural connections, better immune response, nothing that would alarm human scientists or alert Fraxian monitors. Warning, protocol violation detected, the computer announced. Genetic manipulation of observed species is forbidden under Scientific Directive 347B. Zaxel waved a dismissive hand. Override. Authorization, Zaxel Prime Researcher. Override not accepted. This action requires High Command approval. Zaxel sighed. High Command would never approve. They feared species advancement, especially in races they deemed aggressive. But how could science progress without taking risks? The scientist moved to a secondary control panel and entered a complex sequence. Computer, initiate maintenance cycle alpha. Initiating maintenance cycle. All monitoring and security systems will be offline for 17 minutes. It would be enough time. Zaxel quickly transferred the engineered virus into a deployment canister. The plan had been ready for months. Release the virus into the ventilation systems of several major human cities, disguised as a common cold. It would spread globally within weeks, making subtle changes to anyone infected. The changes would be so gradual that neither humans nor Vraxian observers would notice until it was far too late. I'm sorry for the deception, Zaxel said, addressing the images of humans on the screen. But you deserve to reach your full potential. Whatever happens next will be educational. As the deployment sequence initiated, Zaxel felt both excitement and fear. This violated everything in Fraxian scientific ethics. If discovered, the punishment would be severe. But some questions were worth any risk to answer. The screen showed the virus canisters entering Earth's atmosphere, disguised as minor meteorites that would burn up and release their contents into the air currents. Computer, resume normal operations. Maintenance cycle complete. No anomalies detected. Zaxel smiled, an expression the scientist had learned from watching humans. In 6 months, the first changes would begin. Small things at first, slightly faster healing, better recall, improved physical performance. But what would happen after that? Even Zaxel's simulations couldn't predict exactly how human biology would respond once the limitations were removed. The experiment had begun. There was no going back now.